At the time of this review, Deathchron sits at 5 Steam reviews, all of them negative. That is usually a sign to run for the hills, but it was on sale for $1.25, and the trailer just looked so cool, I had to give it a shot. So does it warrant all the hate and belong in the trash bin, or is it actually just a dusty treasure waiting to be polished? Upon looking at the store page, I was immediately drawn in by the graphics. There's nothing that makes me more excited than nice, beautiful 8-bit sprite work. Then you throw in the fact that this is a classic linear platformer and not a Metroidvania, and I'm just willing to throw my money at the developers. The premise here is really cool also. You play as a giant mech with a little boy riding inside. The little boy can exit the mech to get into small places, open some locked doors, push blocks to create a shield from a giant gun, and some other random surprises throughout the game. This is a very exciting mechanic to me, as Blaster Master was one of my favorite games growing up, and Panzer Paladin is one of my favorite current indie games. There is just something so cool and nostalgic about being able to exit your vehicle and explore on foot to open up new challenges. It's a fun mechanic. It is not used as often or as well as the aforementioned titles, but it's a cool little gimmick that adds a nice touch to the otherwise classic platforming. Your mech has a jump and an attack. He kinda has a Mega Man-ish feel to him. Control is spot on, and his gun is very satisfying to shoot. There are several upgrades you could acquire by collecting little bolts scattered around the levels, such as extra weapons and an extended life bar. The level design here is really good. Platforming challenges are solid, there's a nice variety of enemies, the levels themselves are varied enough, and each one presents different opportunities to use the boy in a different way. I had fun exploring each world to see what new challenges lay in front of me. There are even these cool sections where your mech gets into a bigger mech that shoots homing missiles and has extra jumping capacity and an extended life bar. These sections were super fun, as you are totally overpowered and you just get to blow through everything in your path. Every level ends in a boss. They're a mixed bag. The first level boss is a giant alligator, and he was a lot of fun to fight. But then you have stuff like the snow level, where you're presented with a Sasquatch. Well, I feel like I just luck-sacked my way through. Some of his attacks felt impossible to dodge, but a quick prayer to the RNG gods made sure he did not use those attacks on the run where I finally beat him. Put all this together, and you have a game with tight controls, solid level design, beautiful 8-bit graphics, and some really fun, innovative ideas. So were all the Steam reviews wrong? Well, not really. There are a number of bugs present here that are just out of control. Let's get into some of them. The first thing that we want to talk about, I don't actually think is a bug, it's just a poor design choice. When your character enters a new screen, the camera has this weird delay before it follows him to the new screen. But unlike Mega Man, who is frozen in screen transitions, your character continued to move, sometimes leading right into a bottomless pit or an instant hit. You can kind of circumvent this by just pausing for a second while the camera catches up to you, but you really shouldn't have to worry about camera control in a 2D game. It's just bizarre, it's kind of annoying, but it's not necessarily a deal breaker for me. There are so many other bugs I discovered during my playthrough that make this game hard to recommend. I got to the second stage and I had to start playing. So when I reloaded my save, which should have been at the start of the second stage, I had warped to the boss. And I was fighting the level 2 boss without ever having gone through the stage. I beat the boss and the stage select was still there as if I never had played it. So I had to replay the whole stage, refight the boss, and then I was able to proceed. It's not game breaking, but it is annoying. Now when you beat a boss, they drop these little power orbs that you could use to buy upgrades. After beating the first level boss, the orb spawned in a wall, meaning there's no way I could get it. Then I had to take the L. So now I was short on a limited resource, with no way to catch up. That's okay, because I made it to the 5th level boss, I beat him, and he dropped the power orb. Then, when I went to exit the level, the game crashed. So I reloaded my save, and I had the power orb that he just gave me. I had to beat him again, but he gave me another power orb. It was just karma, giving me back what was rightfully mine. Of course, the second boss never dropped an orb at all, so I was still -1 potential orb. There are all sorts of other weirdo game-breaking bugs here. There's an upgrade shop. where you could spend your collected bolts. You also have the option to access the shop through the pause menu. However, if you choose to do this, when you unpause the game, your character gets completely locked up and unable to move, effectively forcing you to reload the save. Not that it really matters. Enemies randomly drop bolts, and there are bigger bolts scattered throughout the levels, but each is only worth 1 bolt. The upgrades are usually 100 bolts or more, or in the neighborhood of that. By the end of the game, I had enough money to purchase 1 upgrade, making the shop more or less useless, and that was with me going around collecting multiple bolts. Now when you die or reload the save due to a bug, you keep the bolts you had. So even with all the bit of spamming I did from reloading my buggy saves, I still only was able to afford 1 upgrade, making the entire economy of the game broken. There were even 1 or 2 times where I got knocked into a crevice and was unable to progress because my character was just stuck in a place that I couldn't move from. Once again, I had to reload the save. Luckily, whenever you reload the save, you start from the last checkpoint, not from the start of the level. If not for this, I would have never completed this game because I found myself having to restart due to bug way more times than I can count. One criticism the game gets that I disagree with is the spacing of the checkpoints. Checkpoints were typically pretty far away, but I'm okay with that. As an old school gamer, I don't mind replaying a section multiple times until I master it. It only became burdensome because many times I had to restart due to a bug, not due to my own lack of skills. So what's the verdict here? Honestly, I don't know what to tell you. On one hand, this game is a completely buggy mess, and the developers should be ashamed for releasing a game in this state. On the other hand, despite the constant glitches and its multitude of problems, I still had a really good time playing through it. In real life, I am a high school principal. As such, I have an extreme amount of patience for annoying situations, so maybe that's why I was able to look past the bugs and enjoy the game for what it was. It even became kind of a game within a game. I would randomly get stuck, or something would crash or not spawn the way it was supposed to. It kind of made me laugh. It almost took on a kind of persona of a piece of media that's so bad that it's good. So would I recommend it? Well, in good faith, I don't think I could. At the same time, I don't want to call it trash. I think it is a treasure that is marred, dusty, and damaged. If the developers would take the time to patch out the bugs and make some fixes, I would have loved this game and recommended it wholeheartedly. In its current state, the frustration would probably be off-putting to most normal people. At the same time, I don't regret my time with it. I had a good time with it, as broken as it was.